standards of democracies around the world, Amy Klobuchar is on the right. Joe Biden is on the right. Bernie Sanders, according to the world, when you're comparing him to British leaders and Canadian leaders and other leaders around the world, Bernie Sanders is actually more in the middle. He is more of a moderate. Our Democratic Party and Republican Party have definitely moved to the right. So he's thinking about floating Amy Klobuchar, or there have even been reports that Joe Biden might be putting in a Republican as a vice president running mate. So that just goes to show the coalition that they would want to build is one that is more center right. They're trying to get those soccer moms who are never Trumpers. They're trying to gain the never Trumper vote. That is the Mitt Romney, John McCain, and George W. Bush Republican Party. So that's where we're at, guys. That's where we're at. Now, what is the only way? What would be the path forward? If Joe Biden and if the Democratic Party truly wanted to build a coalition with the progressives, with the Bernie Sanders progressives, the only way to gain those progressive votes with Joe Biden as the nominee is to make Bernie Sanders the vice president running mate. That is your only option at possibly gaining people like me, or obviously Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, if I woke up and suddenly I'm living in an alternative universe where the Democratic Party decides to embrace Tulsi Gabbard, and they said, you know what, the person we want to put forward would be Tulsi Gabbard. Now, that would be a really smart move on Joe Biden's part, because he would get the progressive vote, the Bernie Sanders progressives, who also tend to really love Tulsi Gabbard, but he'd also get those Republicans who are more libertarian leaning, who do not like Donald Trump. They might want to go and support a Joe Biden, Tulsi Gabbard ticket as well. But these are his only options. He's got to stick a progressive, a firm one, not an Elizabeth Warren. He needs Bernie Sanders as his running mate. Ultimately, that's the guy that he would have to have as on the ticket as the running mate. If he did that, I think there's a possibility that Joe Biden, even with his horrible record, even with everything in the past, now he'd have to build a different cabinet. I don't think Bernie Sanders could stand there and be on the ticket. Part of the negotiation that Bernie Sanders would have, and this would be very important, and I think this could work. I think it could work for the progressive movement in a way. I think it could work for Joe Biden, and it might actually even defeat Donald Trump, maybe, is if Bernie Sanders uses his leverage and all of us voters that are sitting there saying, I will not support an establishment Democrat. I will not do it because this will set the progressive movement back. It's if Bernie Sanders if Joe Biden is able to do what Hillary Clinton was unwilling to do, and that is truly open up the doors to the left wing of the party, not go after those Trumper soccer moms, but go to the left wing of the party and say, listen, we want you. We are embracing you. We are Democrats. We want to get together. And if Bernie Sanders uses that opportunity and says, all right, Joe, listen, if you want me in and if you want me to campaign for you, then I'm on that ticket. And not only am I on that ticket, but you're adopting some of my policies. And that's the way forward. You're going to change your, dropping this whole Obamacare improved. You're going to make it Medicare for all. Now, maybe Joe Biden would want to negotiate and inch his way into Medicare for all, kind of adopting the Elizabeth Warren plan. Maybe that's something you would want to do. But I think Bernie Sanders could say, here's my deal. You've got to make Elizabeth Warren the Treasury Secretary, or, you've got to make Andrew Yang. You got to stick him in the administration somewhere in charge, maybe a new technology department, which we desperately need, something that's over kind of the big tech companies. If he says you've got to put in these people, somebody who's not a warmonger like Susan Rice into the Secretary of State, but somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, who is not the warmonger, I think Bernie Sanders has some leverage here, and Bernie Sanders could use that in order to build a true coalition that might actually work in gaining progressive votes with Joe Biden as the nominee. Now, I will address in another segment here Dem exit and how to successfully build a third party. There is a way to do it, and there's a wrong way to do it. And I know many people are going to start calling for that. So I will talk about historically what has happened with third parties and the path forward to potentially, if that's the direction to go in. Instead, if Joe Biden says, you know what, no, I'm going to pick a Republican running mate, and Amy Klobuchar and Jamie Dimon's going to be the Treasury Secretary, Susan Rice is going to be the warmonger, head of the Secretary of State, and we're going to find a bunch of warmongers to lead up the War Department. If Joe Biden and the Democratic Party decide to become Republican light, then I think it is time for that exit for that third party. And I believe there is a path forward with that. And I will talk about that in another segment. Thank you so much for joining me. Love to hear your thoughts. Comment down below. It's an emotional night right now. I mean, comment down below. Tell me what you think. Please subscribe. Hit the bell. Thank you so much for watching.